Computer. Okay, so you guys, some of you may know Amy, some of you may not. I actually heard Amy at Leadership, and Steve Innes and Jamie Innes, Ryan is right here. You can't really see him because he's eating, but who are Ryan and I's good friends. She's on their team, and we've heard about you so much. But when I heard you speak at Leadership, it really spoke to me, and I was like, this is something that my team would resonate with so much, and they would resonate with her so much, and they have to hear from her. You guys, she is kicking ass right now. Like, she's in 14-star qual. Are you in 15-star qual now?
We are pushing for it
by Thursday.
Which is one more emerald for one of my girls.
Which is incredible. I mean, that is so freaking exciting. What a badass way to be ending the year. Engaged, dog mom. What else? Retired teacher.
Retired teaching. I taught kindergarten for 7 years. Now live in Colorado, originally born and raised in Illinois. And I love Hallmark movies and, and red wine. So
you can just come over, because Ryan and I went through an entire bottle of red wine and watched 3 Hallmark movies yesterday.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. That's a goal right there, I'm telling you.
Yeah, right? Not productive work, but fun.
I love that.
So I'm going to let her take it away, you guys. She's, like I said, she's killing it right now, and I think that she's got a lot of great tips. I told her you guys love takeaways, but you're also welcome to ask any questions while she's chatting. You can throw it in the chat box. She'll get to them at the end. So I'll let you take it away, and I'll mute myself.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Okay, so I love questions. So if you want to put those in the chat, I will kind of go back to them towards the end. But I thought I would just kind of share my story. I feel like that sometimes really resonates with people, just to kind of give them the bird's eyes into this Amy Rada girl who wasn't always, 14-star qualifying. And so I just kind of wanted to tell you how I got started, where I am now, where my goals are, and then I have some takeaways for you if you are looking to propel your business forward. I know we're all in this business for different reasons, but if you're making this a commitment in your Monday night schedule, that most likely means that you are a badass and you want to grow your business. So I will start with my story. So my name's Amy Rada. I'm Happy, Healthy, Humble on social media if you want to go and take a look. I'll be referring to a lot of my posts on there, but I basically grew up small town girl. I was a perfectionist, did everything cookie cutter to the T, wanted to be as perfect as my brother was ahead of me. And so, after high school, getting straight A's, perfect GPA, you go to college. And I had no idea what I wanted to be. I actually wanted to be a firefighter, to be honest. That was my dream job. My mom said no, because that's what my dad was. And she, I had really bad asthma too. So she's like, Amy, that's just not a really great choice. If after 4 years you want to go back to firefighting school, you can do that. And I was like, all right. So then I went into athletic training because I had always been sports oriented. I love athletic, just learning about the body. Well, then they put you into anatomy and physiology your first semester of freshman year. And for all you nurses out there, high five, because that stuff is hard. Like, I could not remember a single thing past the test. Like, I would study, get those colorful note cards, but you had to know every crevice of the body bone. You had to know every nerve ending. You had to know every single little, are there a lot of nurses? Okay, well, you ladies are superheroes because that stuff's hard and it takes a smart woman to be a nurse. So hats off to you. By my second semester, I knew I couldn't do it because that was my first and only C in my entire life. And I was like, if this is going to be my career and I'm already failing at it, a C in my book was failing, which whatever. But so then I went into teaching, and it wasn't I guess I'll do teaching. It was more of I grew up in the classroom because my mom was a teacher, and I just saw all the stress she brought home to the dinner table, and so I was like, I will never be a teacher. And then I became one because I thought it would be really great to have, be able to be with the children. I love kids, and then also to have summers off to be with my kids eventually down the road. So that was kind of my brain. Graduated with a double major in elementary education with an emphasis in early childhood, and got my teaching job way up north by Fargo, North Dakota, called Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the up north area, but it was way out of left field, small town, but I loved it. you know, getting started as a teacher is really exciting. And what did I do? What everybody does, because you don't make any money. And I went back to get my master's degree. So here I spent $30,000 more to get a piece of paper that said, okay, well, your lane has changed type of idea. But anyway, I moved back towards Red Wing, Minnesota, because I was 9.5 hours away from my home, and it was just really hard for me to only see my parents at Christmas and over the summer. So I moved down to Red Wing, which was a little bit closer. And about my second year there, I woke up one morning and I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is how I'm going to spend the rest of my life until I'm 62 years old, and then I'll retire and then be able to enjoy. Like, that is not what I want to live my one life as, you know, because I was stressed out. I was having panic attacks every Sunday. I would invest all my time, heart, and soul into teaching and then just never really feel like you ever were appreciated. I mean, after the parent emails and the phone calls and the IEP meetings, it was just like, I love these kids and I love teaching these kids, but this is not something that I want to do for the next 40 years of my life. Like, that was scary to me, but I felt stuck. I felt like there was no really other way because we had $40,000 in student loan debt. I'd gone to school for 6 years and I was like, you're not going to leave this job and go find something else to do. That would be crazy. And luckily around that time where I was having these like, oh my goodness moments, Jamie Innes, complete stranger, reached out to me on Instagram. Now, I didn't even know that you could message people on Instagram. Like, that's how baby new I was to it. And I basically used it just to like post about my teaching projects and post about my social life. And I did a few gym workouts here and there and would post sweaty selfies for my own accountability, basically. And so the fact that I even stumbled upon her message was just like an act of God, because I probably would have never clicked on that little icon in the corner. I had no idea. And to remind you, I had like maybe 200 to 300 followers. I say 400 because I really don't know, but I just feel like it was like friends and family were following me. So anyway, she reached out to me and I was just going through like wedding planning, just finishing up my master's degree, just bought a fixer-upper home, just got a brand new puppy. And I was just like, no, can't add one more thing to my list. Sorry, it sounds really great, but I like going to the gym. She reached out to me a month later and again was just like, you know, you've just been on my heart and my mind, and I just really think you'd be great at this. And I was like, okay, but no. Like, I own my own photography business on top of everything else that was on my plate. And it's like, teaching sucks you up dry as is. I'm not going to add one more thing to my resume type of idea. And plus, I had been part of other MLMs in the past, just because I loved the idea of having like a protein shake in the morning because I had a really hard time digesting foods that quickly in the morning. And so I was just like, nope. I'm not going to do another protein shake. Not going to do that MLM thing again. By the third time she reached out to me, you guys, and this is where I always plug in, like, if this story doesn't show you the importance of being persistent of your follow-ups, I don't know what will, because it took her by the fourth time where I was in my absolute complete low in my health journey and was in and out of the hospital. I was missing a ton of work. I was paying over $5,000 to see specialists to figure out what was wrong with my digestive tract. And after all of that, they basically were like, well, we can't find anything wrong with you, so we're going to say that you have IBS-D, which is irritable bowel syndrome with diarrhea. So it's not the most glamorous thing, and I was super sick. My body was not getting any nutrients. I looked 6 months pregnant, and I hated eating because it always caused pain. And so here she is again. Hey, Amy, I want to invite you to my 5-day coaching sneak peek. I would just really love for you to have eyes in. You can say no at the end, but I just really, really, really want you to be on this and be part of this community. So I said, okay, because I was at like the lowest, most depressed state ever. And so I finally got into the group, and by like the third day, I was like, all right, sign me up. Because when I get back from my honeymoon, I know that I'm not going to be very motivated to get to the gym like I was when I was sweating for the wedding, right? And so when I got back, I dove in 110%, and I committed to the 21-day fix extreme like it was my job, right? Because I wanted to prove to myself that for once in my life, I wasn't going to give up. And my health journey was I was a dedicated athlete, but it was so unhealthy. I would be like that roller coaster chick who would try everything under the sun and then would, run 9 miles on the treadmill and then binge eat because I was depriving myself of foods that I told myself I couldn't have. And so it was like I was running to burn the calories and then binging, and it was just such an unhealthy cycle. And on top of that, I knew that if I ate vegetables, it was like going right through me. So of course I was, binging on bread and other things that felt good. So anyway, my mindset needed a whole mental shift, and my body needed like a detox galore. And so if these portion control containers could, present something to my health that I've never seen before, why not to go 110%? And that's what I did. And I started sharing my journey from day one because I viewed my Instagram account as my accountability partner. And so it was basically like, I don't care who sees these pictures, but for me, I knew I had to get up in the morning because I had to post a picture on social media as my check-in. That was how I kind of motivated myself. And I tell my coaches today, I'm like, if coaching isn't your biggest motivator to get in the best shape of your life, I don't know what is, because you truly have this platform where you can present these tools that could save and change somebody's life. And so why not be the showcase of what Beachbody has to offer? And so that's kind of where I started. And on top of that, I never picked up a PD book in the past. I thought it was just hocus pocus. And I had suffered with depression and anxiety since my freshman year of college. And every single therapist I talked to would recommend books. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go get that. And it was like, heck no, I'm not reading about why I'm depressed. Like, I know why I'm depressed type of thing. And so it wasn't until I started reading PD, and my very first book was, pretty typical, You Are a Badass. And I just fell in love. I fell in love with, not only the community that Jamie and Steve created for us as a team and a challenge group. I kind of fell in love with that concept of cheering each other on in a private group. Like, how cool is that? And then to be completely honest, I was so excited about getting like team swag. You guys, like anything that had Team Fight to Finish on it, I was just like, yep, I'm going to get the hoodie because I wanted to be a part of a team. I had played soccer for 17 years, and it was like, once you leave college, you lose your friends because you no longer can just go over to their house and you're all alone and you have these adult things that you have to do now, and you have bills to pay, and it's just like you're so poor because you're a teacher. And so there was just so much going on like that was kind of not positive, that coaching brought in a new form of life for me. And I did work in a very toxic, negative environment at the school in Red Wing. And so the fact that, I had this outlet to just kind of be myself and to feel accepted and wanted was really powerful. So after I had my 21-day transformation photo, I blew that up because I was proud. I was proud of that transformation, and I was going to shout it from the rooftops because I felt so good. And I was able to supplement Shakeology after discussion with my doctor for my IBS medication. So I no longer had to be on this $200 pill that I was told I would need to be on for the rest of my life. And so Shakeology was now my Drano. I called it my Drano for my body because it literally was like clockwork. I mean, can't you agree? It's like, when you don't have Shakeology in the morning because you haven't pooped yet. At least that's for me. Like, I needed this in my life. And so my husband at the time, if you don't know my story, we just recently got divorced, and he was so skeptical at the beginning. He was not very supportive. That's not why we got divorced, by the way. That's besides the point. But it was really hard for me to transition from, oh my gosh, I love this program. I love these products. I love my team. I love this community. What if I did this full time? And then he kind of laid on well, what would you do about insurance? What would you do about retirement? You're not going to do an MLM, network marketing business, for your full-time job, Amy. Like, we have $40,000 in debt. And he wasn't being mean. He was just being that voice of reason. And so if it wasn't for my PD, if it wasn't for my PD and just my team cheering me on, like, I would have quit probably after month 2, because there are so many people that are going to play in their opinions because they care about you, and I don't know how many newer coaches we have and how many veterans, but if you're in that newer stage, like, just know that the people who are pushing against this are only doing that because they care for you and they don't know. They don't see the bigger picture. So instead of getting defensive or upset, like prove to them that this is something more than just an MLM, right? And so that's what I did. I told him, I said, okay, because we were living paycheck to paycheck. Like we prayed by the end of the month that our bank account wasn't to zero. And so for me to ask for me to get this shake, and it's so funny because my medication was more than a bag of Shakeology. But anyway, I told him, I said, I would get that paid for if by helping people. I'm going to do that because my goal was a 25% commission to pay for my bag of Shakeology every single month. So that's where I started. I was motivated to help people because not only did I know how amazing these tools and products and community and everything else that came under the Beachbody umbrella was, I knew that, you know, if I wanted to keep drinking the shake that I loved, I had to help. I had to find 3 people. So it was just like a win-win, right? And so I started to really target my cold market quick because, again, I had done other MLMs in the past and I had basically washed out my warm market. So I really couldn't contact my best friends or my mom or my dad because I had already signed them up for other things and quit that within 3 months. So again, they probably looked at this and they were like, well, she's probably going to just, you know, love it right away like she did the others and then give up like she did the others. And I love my people, but they just really didn't believe in me at the beginning. So I only had my cold market. And so for me, I hated the word recruiting. So I made it my mission to invite. And that's where I fell in love with the 5-3-1 method that Chalene Johnson shared about in one of her podcasts. And I had an hour commute to work every single morning. So I would listen to so much PD, you guys. Like when I got to work, my teachers who were like really negative were probably like, what is she on right now? Because she is so happy. But it was honestly because I was filling up my bucket and my mindset was so many positive things. So the Chalene Johnson 5-3-1 method, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically finding someone through a similar hashtag. And so my people were teachers, fur moms, and newlyweds. And going to their profile and making sure they're not already associated with Beachbody or another coach, and liking 5 of their photos, commenting on 3 of them, like genuine comments or questions, and then following them. And then what I would do is I had a notebook, and at the top I would just put the date, and then I would put their Instagram handle and like a check mark if I did the 5-3-1 with them. And then the following day I would do my follow-ups, and I would go back to the day before's list, and regardless if they followed me back or whatever, I would message them. Because the the strategy behind this, I just had energized before this call, can you tell? The strategy behind this is they just got 9 notifications from Happy, Healthy, Humble. And so for people who aren't running a business on Instagram, that's a lot of notifications from one person. And so they're going to go to your profile and they're going to see what you're all about. And that's why we make our profile public. And so even if they haven't followed you back or messaged you, they know who you are. Hopefully, this is the strategy. So then when you message them the following day and you say, oh my gosh, girl, I stumbled upon your account yesterday. I see you're a teacher too. What grade do you teach? You've already created that trust factor that you're not just out to get them for a sale. And so you're investing your time with them. You're creating those relationships. And that's what's really going to help, connect that conversation. Plus, if you're just doing cold market reach outs and you're just sending messages, those people have the other inbox that they probably don't even know about. And like me, had no idea even had message on Instagram. So those people who could be your star diamond coaches would probably be better off getting a message from you after you've invested time into them rather than having a message go into their others folder because you guys don't follow each other and you're not, you don't have any form of connection. So I would do 50 reach outs a day, you guys, and that did not even include my follow-ups because once Jamie told me what I would do, what I would contribute to her business center, I'm in her second business center, by the way, which really sucks because when she goes 15-star, my picture will not be up there, but that's okay. I will swallow it because I did help her open up her third business center on her second leg because I was on that one. So anyway, she told me, Amy, you can become my second diamond, which would help me open up my third business center, which would be huge for my family. Is anybody a Kansas City Chiefs fan? No. Holy cow, they must have just scored a touchdown, because I feel like that was a really excited cheer from my fiance. But anyway, so where was I going with this? So she told me what I would have done for her business, so that fired me up. I knew that diamond was the next milestone, so I was motivated to figure it out to get there. So like I studied YouTube videos, I read blogs, I went to top leaders that I admired and just kind of like took notes of how they implemented and branded themselves and marketed their things. I would just really put myself out there, because I knew the more times people saw my stuff, the more they would remember who I was. So my goal was to post 6 to 7 times a day. And if you haven't used the color wheel yet, I don't know, Joan, if you have the color wheel. Okay. So I learned about that from a national wake-up call, and it worked wonders for me and for my team, just to figure out your brands and what you want to represent. And so when I posted my photos, I thought of all my brands, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do the 4 vital behaviors. So I'm going to post a workout picture. I'm going to post a positive quote, maybe from my PD with a really, pretty photo of my face, or me reading my PD in a really comfy chair. I'm going to talk about how my products or the food that I'm eating that day fit into my color coordinated containers. And then I'm going to recognize somebody on my team or recognize myself for overcoming a challenge that, I once had faced. And then I would post about moose and being a newlywed and a homeowner and my photography. So those were kind of my things. So 50 times a day, following up with that whole list from the day before. Don't forget about that. And so you might be asking, okay, wait, so you're a full-time teacher, a full-time photographer, and let me remind you, when I started coaching, I had 12 weddings that summer and fall. So editing takes forever if you're a wedding photographer. And so everything was just piling up on my plate. How did I make this happen? I woke up at 3:45 a.m. because I read the book Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and I knew that if I wanted to be the CEO of my business, I had to commit to my business. And I wasn't able to commit to my business because I was a full-time teacher, a full-time photographer. And then when my husband at the time came home, he resented the fact that I would be on my computer or my phone. So I really needed to get everything done before 4:30 p.m. I'm not saying that I didn't say like, hey, I have team call night on Mondays, so Monday nights are going to be my night where I will be on the computer all night, but that was majority of my schedule. So 3:45, the alarm went off, chugged my Energize, splashed cold water on your face because you are a walking zombie, got my workout in, and then took a shower. And while I was letting my hair dry in my towel, I would check into my challenge groups, check in with my 4 coaches I had at the time, check my emails, do my follow-ups, do as much as I could in like an hour time span, and then get ready to work. And then, like I said, I had an hour commute to my teaching job, so I'd listen to an hour of PD. You guys don't need talk radio anymore. You can fill up your hearts and your minds and your soul with so much goodness that you don't need gossip, right? So then we got to school at 7 a.m., and we had from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. until the kids came. So they gave us like our prep hour in the beginning of our day. And if I had everything organized and ready to go, I would then use that time to do more reach outs, because you have to have conversations. You guys, if you reach out to 100 people in a day and 99 say no, but 1 says yes, and that person becomes your Amy Rada, like, would those 100 be worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I preach that to my team all the time. It's going to take a lot of hard work, you guys, and it's not fun at the beginning. But when you're building a business, does a CEO become the CEO of a multi-million-dollar business in 3 months? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so it took hustle, and it took grind, and it took a lot of dedication. But then when my kids came, I was a teacher, because I put myself in their parents' shoes, and even though I was miserable at my job, I was their teacher. And if I was sending my 5-year-old off to school, I would pray that their teacher would be fully invested into their education, which I was. I loved my kids. Like I said, when I was a teacher, I loved being a teacher for my kids. Everything else hated, but I was there for them. Then when they would go off for music and gym, another half-hour block where I could do reach outs, email follow-ups, or challenge group, comments. And then on my lunch period, instead of like being miserable in the lunch lounge and listening to all the teachers complain, I would just lock my door and shut it behind me and put my lights off. And then I would do more reach outs and chow down my salad, or like take a picture of my salad and post about it. So I was finding all of these little pockets of time, and I had to get past the idea of, okay, my power hour is going to be at this time every single day. I'm going to have my candle lit and my cup of tea, and I'm going to put on relaxing music, and I'm going to get my notebook all straight and all my pens color coordinated, and then I'm going to reach out. Absolutely not. Like, that was totally me at the beginning, because I love color coordinated pens and I love taking really clean notes. Like, if I make a mistake on my notes, I bundle it up and I throw it away. Like, I had to get past that because it wasn't going to look pretty. It just needed to happen. And I had to utilize every single moment of that day in order to grow a business, because I knew the value of my dreams, and I knew I was the only one that was going to accomplish that dream. Like, I'm in control of my goals, right? Nobody else on your team, not your upline, not, the people who are whatever on your team, they're not in control of your success. You have to 10x your efforts in order to see the results. And what you're doing today, you're not even going to see until 3 to 9 months down the road. So unfortunately, this business is not instant gratification, and that's why so many coaches quit and give up on their dreams so easily. But I love when Rachel Hollis preaches, why are people so quick to give up on their dreams? Why are they so quick to give up on their dreams and go back to ordinary because it got hard? Like, embrace the hard. It's going to be sucky, and it's going to, really be frustrating at times. But if you pursue through it and you never take your foot off the gas, like, you will see the results of all that hard work that you put forth 6 months ago. So about 1.5 years into the business, against my husband's blessings, I handed in my letter of resignation. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this all in. Because if I could create this business with a full-time job, tutoring on the side, plus photography, then if I got rid of those things and fully committed my 8 hours to coaching, imagine how my business could excel forward. And so, I'm not saying that I went against my husband's wishes. That was kind of harsh. But like, he was very uneasy about it because, again, he didn't really support it. And it was an MLM. And he just thought that I should be a teacher my whole life because that was admirable, right? And so once I was able to pass my teaching income, which wasn't much, but once I was able to pass that with coaching consistently, and I had to prove the numbers, and, I got rid of a lot of things because I told him I wasn't going to go to Target anymore because we really needed to cut back on spending if I was just going to go to my Beachbody income, because at that time, we were using my teaching income and my Beachbody income. So we were getting comfortable with both. Well, now we're just going to my Beachbody income. But guess what, you guys? I doubled that Beachbody income 3 months after handing in my letter of resignation, because I then 20x'd my efforts. So one of my corporate mentors, he's no longer with the company anymore, but he said to me, I've seen a lot of coaches go full time, and then they kind of let off the gas because now they feel like they have all this time. Where people who do this part-time or on the side of their full-time job, they have to hustle hard because that's all the time they get. And I said, don't you worry. I'm not that type of person. I have big goals. I have big dreams. And one of mine was to pay off all my student loan debt. And so that was a really big, this is why I'm going to 10x my efforts here. And in my instance, it was 20x. And so I went my first year, just to give you perspective, not to brag, just to give you perspective. My first year, I was a 1-star. I ended my first year coaching 1-star, and that was me building my husband at the time's account. So I made myself 1-star. I didn't even get to go to leadership, you guys, my first year. I went to leadership this past year. So I went to leadership, and I went to, new leadership. I went to new leadership this past January, and I went to leadership this past month. And so that doesn't give you perspective on how your efforts a year ago then start to gain momentum and create that ripple effect. That's prime example right there. But I was a 1-star at the end of 2015. No, I started in October. So I didn't really count that 2015 as my first year. So at the end of 2016, my first full year, I was a 1-star. At the end of 2017, 17, I was 7-star. So I grew 6 diamonds, one of them including my second business center. Okay. So all of that momentum moving forward, we are now into 15-star quals, which is insane. And it's not, it's not about the rank and it's not about the money, but it's about the butterfly effect or the ripple effect or the snowball effect, whatever you want to call it, because I never went a day without being a coach. I never went a day without showing up for my team, for myself, and for my future team. Like, I just kept envisioning what I could be. And I can go into like 6 different calls right here, but just to give you perspective, like, I had a hard time envisioning my team as big as Jamie and Steve's. I had a hard time envisioning my team as big as Rob and Chelsea's. And it was just like, there's no way that I will ever be able to create a team that big. But once I got rid of like the self-limiting beliefs and I was able to just let go of the fear, thanks to PD and thanks to a really amazing supportive upline who encouraged me along the way, I was able to then picture myself as a CEO of a business that was very successful. And so I allowed my dreams to happen, and I kept my why as my number one every single day. If you guys don't have your why written out and posted in front of you that you see every single day, then you need to do something about that. Make it your phone screensaver. Do something where you can see that reminder every single day, because this business is hard. It's hard. But you guys, I started as a day oneer, and everyone has a day one. Everyone has the same tools and resources and challenge packs to give off to people. So it's just a matter of how much heart you have, how much hustle you have, how bad you want this for your future and for your future family. My why was, I didn't want to drop my kid off of daycare. I wanted to be able to be at home, stay-at-home mom, but still supporting my family so that we didn't have to stress about money. That was my why every single day. And I still haven't made that come true, but hopefully in the near future. I went through some really, really tough times this past year, and I was blindsided by my marriage. We got divorced. I had a miscarriage. I moved across the states, completely brand new, left all my family and friends behind. But then, you know what? I fell in love and we're getting married, so why not? But anyway, so it's just like sharing the ins and the outs of who you are, regardless of what you think people are going to say or people are going to think. I mean, I have so many haters, you guys, but I have so many amazing people in my circle, and those are the people I focus on. So I'm just really going quickly through this because I could preach for hours. The other thing that I really had to overcome was fearing failing. Because you don't grow or change in this business unless you fail. And so the best book I could recommend for you is Failing Forward. It kind of got me over that fear of failure because, again, I was type A, very perfectionist, wanted to be the best. But I was my worst enemy because I was so afraid to make big goals and to create a vision board, because if I didn't reach that goal, I would be failing, right? But instead, you will never change or become who you want if you stay in your comfort zone. So by you failing, you should like give yourself a pat on the back and be like, okay, that means I'm trying. That means that I'm going outside of my comfort zone and doing something about my goals and my dreams. So that was a huge game changer for me. Have really big dreams, but you have to have really big goals to go along with them. So every single dream that I had, I made little goals to get there, and then I had to reverse engineer those goals to figure out, financially how I was going to accomplish that. And, I had a really hard time making money for this business because it was like, I just want to help people. I want to help people. I want to inspire. I want people to look at me and say, wow, because of you, I didn't give up. That's such a cheesy quote from Pinterest, but it's true. And so for me, making a paycheck and making money off these people seemed really wrong at the beginning. But then again, I had to change my mindset and say, this is a business. You get paid for your job, right? And this is my job. I help inspire people. Just like someone would pay a personal trainer at the gym, people are paying me to help keep them accountable. And I soon became okay with that. So I had to reverse engineer my financial goals as well, because I would have never been able to leave teaching unless I had an income with Beachbody. So getting over that was really important too. Let's see here. One thing that I loved, I'm sure Chris Downing spoke to your team as well, or, you guys are in the Power of I Am, but he said this quote to my team, and he said, stop letting people rent space in your mind. Stop letting people rent space in your mind. And it's so true. We let other people's thoughts and actions impact everything we do every single day. And, you know, I had a really hard time not being supported by my spouse. I had a really hard time not being supported by my coworkers. I had a really hard time fearing what the people were going to say on the nasty blog site. You know, so there's a lot of things that you have to overcome mentally. Like, your mental game needs to be so strong, and you need to believe in the beauty of what Beachbody offers us as coaches. We have the ability to make millions of dollars here, you guys, and it's just within reachable. I mean, you have to just let all the negative naysayers do what they want to do and say what they want to say. But the best way to get them is to prove them wrong. So let those people motivate you, not in a mean-spirited way, but in a really just like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but in 2 years, you know, when my name's in the top 10, we will have another conversation, I'm sure. So it's just like one of those other intrinsic motivators. Just being your biggest fan. Be your biggest fan. If I can do this, so can you. If Joan can do this, so can you. Like, everyone has the potential to become a great business owner. It's just a matter of how much effort and how much grit you are going to dedicate into this business, right? Let's see, I think I touched on everything. Oh, last thing, and I kind of touched on this, but I had a very, very hard year. But when I changed my perspective from my trials as like a why me moment, it was more of like, this is a privilege that I now can use in my platform on social media. Like, we have the privilege to share our journeys on social media. So if me going through a divorce in front of 65,000 followers could help somebody get through their divorce or get through their relationship that's not great, then I will feel honored, right? If me having a miscarriage was part of God's plan for me, but I can now share that on social media and help other women not feel so alone, then that is a privilege, right? So stop being a victim of things that are going on in your life, because everybody has shit going on in their life. Everybody's going through something. I don't swear often, so I must be like really fired up today. But everybody's going through something. Everybody has a journey. Everyone has a crappy family. No, not everyone has a crappy family. Some people have crappy families. Some people go through mental, illnesses. There's a lot of negative stuff that is happening in every single one of these lives that you see on this call right now. But it's how you view your trials that will help you overcome and help you connect with other women. So instead of saying like, why me? Say to yourself, I went through this because fill in the blank. How are you going to use this? And you don't have to share it right now. I was not ready to share about my divorce and my miscarriage right when it happened. So don't feel like you have to be, sharing every vulnerable moment of your life, but also realize that it could really play a role in connecting you with your next tribe of coaches. So I love the quote, I was given these mountains to show others that they could be moved. And stop dwelling in what has happened and take control of what happens next. And so I love just ending with this, whatever you believe to be true is going to be, right? You are capable of whatever you feel you are capable of. So if your mindset is holding you back, then you need to start pouring into yourself and become your biggest fan. And you do that through PD. Like, it's part of the vital behaviors because it is so vital to this business. Because there is a lot of negativity that will go on along this journey. But if you're able to knock them out of the path, then you will see success. We have such a gift as coaches. And so keeping it to yourself and not doing what you know you should be doing, like reaching out and inviting, you're being selfish. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like, that's how I had to tell myself when I didn't want to reach out that day. I was like, Amy, you're being selfish because these people need you. You have tools to offer them that could change their life. Like, Beachbody has changed my life, so I now should be changing other lives. And don't you ever, ever not be proud of what you represent. So bleed Beachbody Blue, be proud of what we represent, because we're not selling lip gloss. Okay. We're selling lifestyles of happier, healthier people. So just start sharing your journey unconditionally and unapologetically, and just be yourself. And you're going to change the world. Okay. Let's check out this chat. Yes, the best revenge is massive success. I love that. My husband is upstairs watching. Oh, man. Yep, so 50 reach outs a day was doing the 531. So it took time, but it was worth it because now I don't have to reach out. So that was completely worth it to me to put in all that effort for a whole year if I can now run a business where I don't need to do reach outs every month.
Katie, I'm going to put in my resignation tomorrow. Oh, God.
What are the top 3 books that helped me beyond my limiting beliefs? Okay, so one of my biggest limiting beliefs was that I wasn't going to be able to run a team as successful as my uplines. And so Rob Pearson told me to read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And that was a game changer. It's kind of dry, but it's not like a girl wash your face, but it's definitely a really great book where you have takeaways that change your mindset about how you approach your team, how you become a leader, because that was something I really struggled with. The other book that changed my mindset about my inner self-limiting beliefs was Mastering Your Mean Girl by Melissa Ambrosini. I listened to podcasts. I loved her accent, so I just kind of fell in love with her. That was a really good one. And then obviously Girl Wash Your Face is amazing, and You Are Badass. But the Slight Edge was like one of my first books too, and the Compound Effects. And then the 10X rule was like what I just preached to my team, because that's what I did. I 10X, 20X my efforts, and didn't see success right away, but it definitely created that momentum.
I love listening to Grant Cardone too. Like, I think his accent's kind of funny, and like, I have a hard time sometimes with Audible or like audiobooks because people talk slow, and I'm like, I want you to like go. So you want energized tonight is awesome.
But I'm not gonna fall asleep tonight, but I'm glad this call was beneficial. Yeah. So the whole resignation thing, like, I know you're probably joking, but for real,
I don't think she is actually.
Well, I'm really excited if that's the case. But when I handed in my letter of resignation, that was a huge like moment for my team, because I was kind of showing them the potential of big dreams becoming realities. And since that letter of resignation was handed in and I went live and shared it with my team, and I was bawling, and because I was pretty scared, like I'm not gonna lie, like it was not easy, and I cried because I was just like so afraid if I just made the biggest mistake of my life. But I had 2 nurses quit their jobs, I had 3 teachers quit their jobs, and one gal that was working for corporate America. So it was like me showing them that that was possible just completely revved up their mindsets, and then they made it a reality too. So, you know, I'm not saying go quit your job, but we definitely worked for that hardcore. I worked for that. Best tip for getting new coaches started: to light the fire and create diamonds. So I don't have like a magic wand or tip for you, but I did just have 2 coaches hit diamond in 2 months. So I feel like the momentum that right off the bat, as soon as they sign up as a coach on your team, like, you want to make them feel like they are part of the sisterhood. You want to make them feel like they would never be able to leave because they would be missing out on so much. And so I really pride myself in my challenge groups and in my coaching groups to really form that community and just that sense of sisterhood. But also I put them through a 14-day coach prep school that they can do at their own pace on Thinkific. And it's just modules, so 14 modules. And I have them message me their responses. So if they do module 1 through 4, they'll message me 1 through 4. And then when they get to 14, they then get their one-on-one call with me, because what I was noticing is my getting started right calls, if I did them right after they signed up, like A, they didn't know what to ask, B, they were scared, they didn't want to talk, and C, they asked questions about like Emerald and how to make money and things like that that were going to be covered in the coach prep school anyway. And so then that also shows you like coaches who want to send coaches who want to like run with this will complete the 14-day module in 2-3 days. And those are the girls that you get excited for because you know that they're investing into this and they're excited to get started. So then I kind of run with those girls and I really make sure to be, checking in more so with them and really get excited with them. And we talk about, okay, who are you going to invite to your birthday party, AKA who are you going to invite to your challenge group, and just kind of going from there. So I do the Coach Prep School, which is a link that they do on their own time, but then I also put them into a new coach mentorship group, which is, just a community where those newer coaches can then feel connected to the newer coaches. And so we just kind of talk about the color wheel there and your hashtags and just how to grow your social media branding. And when you're onboarding a big number of coaches, it's really easy to lose them. Like they're like little kittens and you're trying to like herd them and get them all like on the same path to seeing the potential of hitting emerald even, so having a smaller group instead of a huge team page to get them started in it's been working really well for me. What else? I don't know, does that help? Okay. Any other questions? If not, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think everybody got stuff out of it. I'm getting messages even from the side, not in the chat, just saying how much they appreciate your call. And honestly, we have so many teachers and nurses on our team. And I know that like I have a handful of people that are not on the call right now because they had other things going on, but that are going to like die when they listen to the replay. So like, this is just what I needed. So thank you.
Yeah. And you guys, I'm going to open book. So if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. And yeah, I'm just so excited. Thank you for the opportunity. And it's so great to meet y'all.
Thank you so much, Amy. Have an awesome night.
Yep. You too.
Thanks, everybody.